All right, we all know that Disney's releasing the new live action Snow White real soon. And by the looks of it, it's probably the worst decision they've made in a long time. But first, let's remember why the original still holds up. Hey all, my name's Jordan and I love watching movies. The good, bad, and some in between. Every review, I break it down in 3 different categories. The one thing I liked, the one thing I hated, and the one thing I would change. Today we are prepping for the new live action Snow White. Let me be clear, I wasn't going to see this new live action movie. I mean, look at it. Have you seen this monstrosity? I thought I was just gonna watch the original film and then skip off to Candyland, but no. My friend said that I need to go see the movie, and I said, fine. I'll only go if you go. And then he said yes. To be honest, I think he wants to see me tortured for 2 hours. So here I am pre-gaming for the new live action Snow White. So if you love honest movie reviews, make sure to subscribe. Now, grab your popcorn and let's get into it. Like, do I even need to explain this one? Fine. Evil Queen, Magic Mirror, Huntsman Fails, 7 Tiny Roommates, Poison Apple, Prince Saves the Day. You know the drill. The one thing I liked about this film was how lighthearted and happy it is. The music itself is life-giving. Like, you listen to it and feel so much happier. Like the scene where they're all dancing, and the accordion, the organ, if that's an organ, beautiful. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, as you're watching, you can't help but smile. And you can tell that the animators' goals was to make sure that their audience forgot all their troubles and just enjoyed life for about an hour and 30 minutes. That was the intention when it was made in the Great Depression. And I do believe that that is the sentiment that carries on to today. Because in the past several years, I feel like there's been a cultural depression. No matter what side you're on, the world felt depressing, stressful, anxious. But when you're watching this film, you kind of forget about it. And honestly, I think we need that. If nothing else, I hope this live action mess at least reminds people why the original still holds up. It just brings pure joy that we all need. I've been trying to think about the one thing that I hated about this movie for over an hour, and I couldn't think of anything. And even my favorite films have at least one thing that I hated about it, didn't like, but this one, I really could not find anything. And yeah, sure, it's not the first Disney movie that I pick up off the shelf, but that's more of a personal preference, not any criticism. And watching this movie has shown me how far Disney has strayed away from their original content. Snow White was a massive risk for them. It was the first animated feature film to be released and in color, but it paid off the studio everything because that was a passion project. It was special. There was something magical about it. But these days, Disney's not doing that. All they're doing is trying to be safe. They're not being as risky as they were. Like, the original Snow White wasn't perfect, but it had the biggest heart. And I think that's what's missing now in Disney. The one thing I would change about Snow White is adding more interaction between the Snow White and the Evil Queen. The only interaction you get with them, if you even call it an interaction, is when Snow White is meeting the prince for the first time and the Evil Queen is just seeing it from a distance. And they both talk about each other, but they don't really interact with each other. To me, I wanted to see the pure good interact with the pure evil. Imagine if Snow White is unknowingly testing the patience of the Evil Queen, or the Evil Queen is manipulating Snow White in the beginning. I feel like that would have made their final interaction with each other a little bit more intense and add a little bit more depth to the Evil Queen instead of just being the lady that's jealous about a girl and wants her dead. And in these interactions, I would have loved to see the foreshadowing of Snow White taking the apple. How that would play out, I'm not exactly sure, but essentially the queen should have tested Snow White's trust and see how far she was willing, like how far Snow White is willing to trust anyone blindly and just kind of test those boundaries. I think if the audience was warmed up to the Evil Queen trying to abuse Snow White's kindness, we would have been more acceptable of her taking the apple, because Snow White's biggest criticism is how dumb is she for accepting an apple from a stranger she doesn't even know. With this new interaction, we would have been able to see who Snow White naturally is. She sees the good in every single person. even if they are evil. Overall, I really do love Snow White. It's such a timeless classic, and no matter how nervous I am about seeing the new live action, I have to remind myself that the live action doesn't replace the original. No matter how bad this new one is, it's not going to replace Snow White's legacy. That said, I can't shake off the feeling that this remake is going to be a big wake-up call for Disney. The backlash has been brutal. I mean, there are so many videos out there. I was even watching a few videos today about it. So, if the movie flops as everyone's expecting it, it might force Disney to realize that they've lost their way. I don't think this is the film that's going to kill Disney. In fact, I think this is the film that's just gonna course correct themselves. Like, maybe, just maybe, they're gonna stop focusing so much on nostalgia and get back to work at producing high quality movies and taking risks. But I guess we'll find out soon, after I have to suffer through 2 hours of whatever this live action mess this is. Hopefully I survive. So, are you gonna go watch the new live action movie? I wanna know in the comments who's also gonna be suffering with me. Because remember, trauma bonding. If you like honest movie reviews, make sure to subscribe. I do post movie reviews every Wednesday and Saturdays, so you don't wanna miss it. And if you need help reminding yourself, just go ahead and click the bell. It should remind you. If you want a sneak preview of some of the movies I'm going to review, go ahead and follow my Letterboxd. I'll drop the username in the description. But that's it for today. Please pray that I survive Snow White. I'm gonna need a lot of popcorn for it. So until then, I will see you next time.